Welcome back to The Takeout. Democrats are eyeing Wisconsin's 3rd congressional district as a potential flip in November. I spoke to Democratic candidate Rebecca Cook, who is hoping to unseat Republican Congressman Derek Van Orden. Take a listen. Why do you think the seat can be flipped?
Yeah, I think, again, it's about running a value-centered campaign that's pulling people together. So I think people in D.C. are either so far left or so far right and unwilling to work across the aisle to get things done. I'm very much a moderate Blue Dog Democrat, and I'm proud of that. And I think people are looking for less chaos and division stirs.
I want to bring in our political panel, Democratic strategist Joel Payne and Republican strategist Harrison Fields. Both Joel and Harrison are CBS News political contributors, and we thank you so much for being with us. Obviously, I spoke with Cook ahead of President Trump's visit to Wisconsin last week, but talk to me, Joel, about the significance of some of these seats, particularly in the Midwest, and kind of this message from Cook. Obviously, she's trying to strike a more moderate or centrist tone. We've seen in other races, other Democrats strike a more progressive tone. But what do you think will make the difference in terms of Democrats' goals of flipping some of these seats?
Yeah, what's interesting about Cook is she actually has both establishment and progressive support. She's got support from all over what I would call the continuum of Democratic ideas, which makes her pretty unique in that race, pretty unique, because there are other races that are frontline races where Democrats are fighting amongst themselves about, should we go the progressive vision? Should we go the more establishment vision? That's actually not happening in that seat. And I actually think that's going to be one of the top pickup opportunities. I think what is going to make it a top pickup opportunity is two things. One, Donald Trump is deeply unpopular across the country and in Wisconsin on the issues that matter to Wisconsin voters. And secondly, Derek Van Orden is someone who has created a lot of controversy and has a lot of bad feelings he's worked up with his own constituents. I mean, he's had a number of embarrassing moments here in Washington, D.C. and back at home in Wisconsin. That will all be weaponized against him.
And of course, Harrison, staying in Wisconsin, of course, President, while there, did an interview with Meet the Press in the middle of a major rainstorm, which I can tell you was pretty big and thunderous, but maybe not as much as this interview. Take a listen to one exchange that the president had with NBC's Kristen Welker over election results.
There's more evidence than ever presented.
Let's talk
about your elections in this country. We're like a third world country. Your elections are crooked, and you're crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked, and so is ABC and CBS and CNN.
But Mr. President,
you're one-sided crooked networks. Right, let's call it quits because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Okay, so this started off with an exchange over the anti-weaponization fund, and she questioned him about, the contest in California, which, as we mentioned, they're still counting those results. But you've worked closely with this president. I'm sure you've staffed a number of these interviews. What happened here?
The president, this isn't new for him in terms of his position on the election. This isn't breaking news. To continue to belabor the point, Kristen's mind is never going to change. The president's mind is never going to change. Why even mention it or allow the interview to get to a place where it did? There are a lot of other issues on the American people's mind right now. Affordability, housing, the border, the war in Iran. Why talk about this and allow it to go this way? I know Kristen well. I'm sure if she had to do it again, she probably would. But if you talk about the accessibility to this president, more than any president in the United States, you could pick up the phone right now and call the president. He would answer, and you would probably have a 30-minute interview, and you break news right now. A reporter from the Daily Mail just texted the president earlier today to ask him about the G7. The president of the United States texts this reporter back. Talk about access. So this president will go back and forth with the media every single day. The media understands the relationship here. He cut the interview short. I wish he would have stayed because he's able to have these conversations, but he's very accessible.
I don't think Krista would have done that interview differently. I think she did an excellent job in that interview. And first, I would say, this is a Wendy, sir. Like, what was he talking about? I mean, Kristen Welker was actually trying to move the conversation onto the issues that matter to Wisconsin voters. It was the president who didn't want to actually have a focused conversation about what voters care about. Donald Trump wanted to talk about the 2020 election, not Kristen Welker. She was fact-checking him because he lied about it there, just like he lies about it all the time. And that's and bigger than all of this is Republicans' biggest problem. They have to run with this. So whether it's Derek Van Orden in Wisconsin or whether it's Susan Collins in Maine, this is who you have to run with. And you can't run away from that type of
Your
crazy.
focus is Democrat candidates. My focus is Republican candidates. They're not talking about the election of 2020. They're talking about how to make gas, groceries, rent cheaper. They're talking about what the president has done when it comes to. So you're making the point that I'm making, not the one you were just making before.
Still, I would note, though, I mean, even Speaker Johnson was asked about this earlier today, and he said something to the effect of, I'm not saying it's rigged with respect to the ongoing election count in California, but he did say it stinks to high heaven. So I guess what is the value in kind of keeping this narrative alive here?
I actually think they should talk about Democrats and how they run elections. I come from a state of Florida where back in the day, we ran elections very bad. Let's mention Hanging Chads. Ever since then, we were scapegoated. Now we run the best elections in the country. It is no excuse why a state like California, we are almost a week past Election Day, and we still don't know who is winning that election. It's absolutely absurd. In Florida, when we get a ballot, it's automatically logged. We know the election result by 7 p.m. Election, that's like a matter of an hour. Days in California, that's a problem. And the longer we take to get election results, it breeds more of these questions. And when you sow doubt in the American people's mind because you don't know how to run elections, that's a problem. I hope California is able to change that.
One person
There are a lot of people asking questions.
One person is sowing doubt.
Do you think it should take a week to get election results?
No, it shouldn't. It doesn't mean it's crooked.
But when you have when you see the votes,
I'd love to get a lot of things in life faster. It doesn't mean I don't believe what the results are.
But you should be. It asks questions. Why is it taking so long?
And why can't we have mature leadership from the person who's supposed to be the most mature leader to actually not make people's distrust of the system?
The president
worse?
has been extremely the president has been consistent on this issue, and whether or not you agree with that's fine. But
consistently wrong.
And,
well, we're going to continue the conversation. We're going to go into overtime with this conversation, but we thank you, Joel Payne and Harrison Fields, for joining us tonight.